You're listening to Start Again with Shaunna Lee, the place where you will be reminded that it's never too late and you're never too old to do the damn thing. So stick around if you're ready to vibe higher and be inspired to chase your dreams.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you got to see week 1 of this new series that I am doing. 12 weeks called Ignite Your Brilliance. We are talking about all the ways, tips, tricks, strategies, practical things that you can do to actually get started on that big lofty goal that you have. Now, listen, if you have questions, I want to answer them. Send me a DM. But listen, what are we talking about tonight? I wanted to start with a question. Have you ever wondered how these really busy people have managed to write a book? They work full time, they have businesses, they're doing all these crazy things, and then they pop out and say, I have written a book. And you're like, how the hell did they write a book? I'm going to tell you the secrets to getting into creative flow because from my experience, what is important is to be able to find your specific creative flow so that you can let those words flow onto the page super fast. And I have a story for you to kind of frame this whole method that I'm going to talk about. So, what I'm addressing tonight is my flow alignment method. And the way I got there was through the way anybody does, through trial and error. So when I wrote my first book, it was a fiction novel. It's called Divine Tragedy. The ending is a tragedy. It needs some work, but one of these days I will finish that book and bring that to you guys. But through the course of writing that book, I spent a lot of time waiting to get into creative flow, and I would wait to have these moments of inspiration hit me before I thought that I could sit down and like actually put words onto paper. I was typing. Um, However, the whole process, start to finish, took me like 18 months. It was a year and a half of me just kind of waiting to get into creative flow and waiting for inspiration to hit me. And it took a long time. And then at the end, I thought, this is great. I wrote this book. And then, of course, I did nothing with it. However, when it came time to write my divorce book, I had perfected this art of getting into the flow. I had realized that there were some things that I could do very intentionally to get myself into the place of those words flowing out a lot easier. This is my flow alignment method that we're talking about tonight. That book took me 3 months to write. So from start to finish, I started in the beginning of January 2020. You might remember this year. It's not the year to launch a book, let me tell you that. But I did write one in 3 months. So just as I was finishing my book and I was working with my publisher, the entire world shut down. It was fabulous timing. However, what was amazing that came out of that was this process that I'm going to talk about tonight. So, week 2 is all about getting into the creative flow, finding your balance, and figuring out what your alignment looks like. Now, listen, this is what I do with my clients, and we walk through the process of figuring this out because it is trial and error. There is some really specific things that you can try, but it's kind of this nuance of figuring out what your thing is, and that's what we do together. However, I'm going to give you some tips tonight on how you can get started on the process of figuring it out yourself. So, listen, flow alignment method is all about aligning who you are, your body, your mind, your spirit, these 3 elements of who you are in this perfect alignment so that you are most connected to yourself, the divine, creativity, all of this that can flow through you the best and most efficient way when you are in alignment. Okay, so body is the first element. My favorite way to describe this aspect of you and removing the stuff that gets in the way of your creative flow is to move your shit and move your ass. It's that simple. It comes down to the the energy in your body, when we feel like we're not in flow, when we're not aligned, our mind is a little foggy. Things aren't, you're not thinking as clearly. It's when we feel a little more frustrated or impatient, like you're not feeling your best. And the best way to kind of move that energy out of your body is to physically move your body. Um, this is why a lot of people have exercise as part of their daily routine. Is it's a mechanism for you to move that energy out of your body. So I hate exercising. I'll be the first to tell you this is not like my favorite thing to do. However, when I am needing to get into creative flow, when I'm in the process of writing a book or creating a program or drafting a blog or figuring out what an outline for my next podcast episode is going to be, any of those things require me to get into creative flow. Moving my body is an excellent way for me to kind of move out the muck in my mind and to help me think more clearly. It's when I am in that cleared space that the really great ideas drop in. And so moving my body, Bailey loves if I take her for a walk. So that's become my favorite way to get in some physical movement. But I will tell you, when I was creating this whole process through trial and error, it really was sometimes as simple as me moving to another location. So if you've listened to any number of these podcast episodes that I've had with authors, you will hear them all say that they've created this habit of writing in a specific location there's something about creating space that's devoted to your craft, whatever it is that you are doing. If you are writing a song, if you are writing a book, if you are creating whatever it is, when you have space devoted to that craft, it signals to your body that it's time to work. This is where we're going to do this thing. And so sometimes it was really just moving to another location. Now, when I was writing the novel that took me a year and a half, I was writing on the back porch. I would go sit in my living room. I sat at my office desk sometimes, and I just kind of was all over the place. I'd go sit in coffee shops. Now, that's not to say any number of those things is a bad approach, because any one of those places can be amazing. It's about just moving yourself to indicate that it's time to get to work. And a lot of it is just creating that habit. But so when it comes to moving your body, it can be moving to the place you need to work, or it can be moving that negative energy out. But your physical body needs to be at its best so that you can then get into flow. And then the other aspect of this physical space is your environment. That's where the move your shit comes into play. So if you have these moments of kind of groggy thinking, it's not super clear, one of the best things you can do is to declutter your space. So let's say you're devoting your office as your space to write. So we're going to use the writing a book as our example as we move through this evening. So your office space, if you have got stacks of paper everywhere, like I tend to do, if you have crafty projects piled up in the corner, if you have, a stack of, I don't know, pictures that you haven't framed yet, any number of things that are just kind of cluttering the space, one of the best ways that you can kind of clear the muck out is to go clear that space. So when you declutter your workspace, you clear off your desk, you sit down, you have only your necessary items, like you're clearing it out. It helps you think clearly. It is the first mechanism to get into creative flow, and that is your physical body. So that is one. Second is your mind. Now listen, this is one of my favorite things to talk about is mindset. And my practical recommendation on mindset is journaling, because it's my favorite thing to do. So when it comes to your mind, and I talked about this a little bit last week. So if you listened to the first week's episode, I did talk about positive mindset and kind of shifting your mind towards positive, and gratitude being kind of this helpful mechanism to move the momentum towards whatever this change is that you were trying to implement. So when we're talking about getting in creative flow, we also have to get our mind right. And so you want to get your body in the right space, then you want to work on your mind next. And a lot of that can be done through journaling. Listen, I have journal prompts for days. So any one of my programs will include journal prompts. It's just such a helpful way to, one, when you're physically writing, it slows your mind down. It slows down the negative chatter, the mindless chatter, the unnecessary commentary, and it allows you to be very intentional with where you're going and creating that positive headspace, creating that gratitude. So, I wasn't planning to talk about this, but I will. My favorite gratitude format, because listen, we're not conditioned and trained to be grateful, happy human beings. Our minds are designed to look for what's wrong, to keep us out of danger, and to look for what's missing or needs to be fixed. So, gratitude is something that has to be cultivated quite on purpose with lots of intention. So, this gratitude practice is one of my favorite ways to kind of cultivate that art of being grateful because it takes practice. So, it is first, you write 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for. Every day, something different on your list, and it's just bullet points. It doesn't have to be elaborate, responses. And if you are like me in the very beginning, it was stuff like my kids are healthy and I love my coffee and my cup because I journal in the mornings. And it was, kind of silly, mundane things. Not that healthy children is mundane. I am deeply grateful for my healthy children, but it was kind of these given things. So if I challenged myself every day to come up with something new, that became a little more difficult. And you had to start looking for different things to be grateful for. And the thing about it is, when you know that this is your homework that you created for yourself, you start looking ahead of time. So throughout the course of the day, I would just start looking around, like, what can I be grateful for? And it's fucking magic, I tell you. When you start looking for reasons to be grateful, the doors open. There is an abundance of things to be grateful for, but you have to look for it and it takes practice. So, 3 to 5 things every day. And then the next thing on the list is one thing that you are proud of. Because also we're not really good at tooting our own horn and kind of patting ourselves on the back and saying, "Hey, good job, Shauna, you did that thing." So finding something that you are proud of, and it doesn't always have to be about me specifically. It could be that I am proud of my kid for being a good friend, or I am proud of my neighbor for, I don't know, being a good neighbor. Like it could be for other people as well. So your list of things to be grateful for, one thing you're proud of, and then one thing you are looking forward to. And this gets us in the habit of forward looking to something else to be grateful for in the future. So that's the gratitude practice that I kind of walk everybody through when you're trying to cultivate this idea of being more grateful. Because when we get our mind wrapped around gratitude, positivity, it starts the momentum that allows us to build in this belief that we can do this crazy ass thing that we've said we want to do. And I don't know about you, but writing a whole book felt like a crazy ass thing. Like I couldn't believe that I even thought I was capable of doing this. But if I can do it, you can do it. So wrapping your head around the belief that you can do it, like you can't actually accomplish a goal unless you think you can do it. And so it never ceases to amaze me how many people want to do this crazy big thing but don't actually believe they can do it. So, journaling is the very practical way that you can start building your mind around, I can do this crazy thing, and I'm going to start thinking more positively, and I'm going to be grateful for everything that's happening in my life. And that gets you in the mindset to be in creative flow. So, you've got to get your body, then your mind, and then last is your spirit, this innermost who you are part of your being Being able to connect to yourself in that way is also how I believe we are connecting to the divine. It is how we are connecting to creative flow. It's all connected. But what we have to do is be able to shut our mind off enough, still our body enough so that we can actually tap into who we are, tap into our inner being and our spirit. So when you are able to do that, my favorite way, one guess how to do that is meditation. So being able to meditate before, after I've done a little movement and I've journaled, meditating lets me still myself to the point where I can tap into, okay, what is this thing I'm doing? Visualize where I'm going. Because listen, meditation can, first of all, it also takes practice, but it can be used in a couple different ways. One of my favorite ways is to visualize me being the person who's already done this thing that I want to do. So being able to use meditation to really sit with, what does it feel like to have written a book? What does it feel like to, and I talked about this last week too, actually sit there with this book that I've written and have people come to a table for me to sign it? What does that feel like? How does it feel to see my book at Barnes and Noble? Like being able to actually sit with yourself in those moments is a great way to use meditation to kind of forward launch yourself to this place you want to go, which is to become an author or to be a podcast host or to be a business owner or, I don't know, a great mom. Whatever the thing is that you want to do, meditation can help you visualize what it will feel like to get there. So, body, mind, spirit. This is the crux of this flow alignment method. It allows you to tap into who you are, align with where you're going, quiet your mind so that those amazing ideas for your book can tap in. The creative flow can go through you onto the page. It is the fastest way, in my opinion, to get into creative flow and create the habit to do the thing that you're wanting to do. It is amazing. So, body, mind, spirit, and then you're in the creative flow and you're ready to do the damn thing. That is when you call me. So, my invitation to you all is that if you are ready to actually take the step, because once you get into creative flow, that's great. You can start writing. And then what do? Like writing a book, you need a plan. You need to be able to write down the steps it's going to take to get there. If you want to launch a podcast, that's great. You have some ideas. You have to record some things. You might need to design a cover, but like, how do you host it? How do you edit your sound? What do you do after you've got the final audio? That is where you need a plan to write down not only how do I take this big lofty goal and take it down into bite-sized pieces, but you also need the steps and the sustainment, the accountability to move forward and to keep the thing going. So that's where I can help you create your plan. And that's what we do on clarity calls. So my invitation to you is to book some time with me so that we can have this private strategy session. We can brainstorm your idea. And at the end, I will present you with your plan, your customized start again plan to go do the damn thing. And I cannot wait to hear what that is. I cannot wait to talk to you about your idea and help you get started. So you can go to shaunalee.com/clarity-call to book a call with me, or just send me a DM and I'll send you the link. But there you go, guys. Week 2. I have got 10 more weeks planned with content to walk you through this whole Ignite Your Brilliance plan to get you started to do the darn thing. I am so excited and I want to hear what it is that you're working on. Thank you for joining, and I cannot wait to talk to you. Talk soon.
Hey, one last thing before you go. Don't forget to grab your free guide to get your next chapter started today. Let's make this pipe dream of yours this year's reality. Pop on over to shaunalee.com/startagain to grab your free guide.